KBGA Missoula, you're listening to Missing 中国. Today, our language theme is the 98th element in the periodical table, which is Californium. Sounds like a state name. And in Chinese, it's 开, and I would use 开 to open or to start or to turn on as the theme. So, Mr. C, can you relate this theme to any movies?
Well, you said Californium, so it makes me think of California. And I had to think long and hard, what's the quintessential California movie? And it's actually the film adaptation of The Grapes of Wrath, directed by John Ford and starring the great Henry Fonda, way back in the 1940s, I believe. And I think it's the perfect California movie because it's a perfect representation of what it means to come out to California looking for a new way of life and a new fortune and all that. And for those of you, I hate to spoil it, but things don't necessarily go well. So the movie demonstrates how California is not really the dreamland or the land of hope that most people think it is. And it's even more so true today as there are homeless encampments up and down the 1 and the 101 freeways. And California is increasingly too expensive, even for people with a lot of money to live in. It's rather tragic because California is a beautiful state. And there's a lot of things to do in California, but you have to be filthy rich to live there. And I think that The Grapes of Wrath, in its own way, kind of demonstrated that nearly 100 years ago.
Very interesting. Was the movie adapted from the novel?
Yes, by John Steinbeck. I've never personally been able to finish the book. I find John Steinbeck's prose a little bit difficult to get through. It's a little bit glacial. Glacial prose is prose that's difficult to read at a sufficient pace. I don't like prose like that. I prefer faster prose.
Okay, actually there's an interesting topic about movie and novel. Do you think it's good to read the novel first and watch the movie later, or vice versa?
Personally, I don't think it matters because a novel and a movie are two very different mediums. A novel gives you a much more three-dimensional, microcosmic view of a story, whereas a movie really has to move back and give you only the essential moments in a story. So oftentimes people say the book is better than the movie. That's just because the book had more information in it. But there is such a thing as a movie that's better than its book, and I'll give you some quick examples. The Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick, is miles above Stephen King's book. Stephen King's book really has no real depth to it, no philosophical depth, whereas The Shining, the movie, it is layers upon layers of meaning. Today, 44 years after the movie was released, people still have theories about what the movie means. The same cannot be said about Stephen King's book, no matter what diehard Stephen King fans may think. Or Stephen King himself, who doesn't like the adaptation because he knows it's smarter than anything he could do. And another movie that is infinitely better than the book is Fight Club. Fight Club, the movie, is much more hardcore, much more transgressive and revolutionary than the book could ever possibly hope to be. The ending of Fight Club, the movie, it so far surpasses the ending of the book. It's unbelievable. And the writer, Chuck Palahniuk, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, the writer of the book, has even admitted that the screenwriters for Fight Club went much farther than he was willing to go. And one last example, as much as I love Elmore Leonard, Quentin Tarantino's adaptation of Rum Punch, which is called Jackie Brown, is much, much better than the book.
Very good. So I guess if whatever is better in a general sense, then you should do it later.
let me give.
So you get deeper and deeper.
Can I also give a personal example?
Sure.
So my book, Down on the Street. I wrote the book first. It's a novella, and then I was asked to write the screenplay for it. And in writing the screenplay, I was able to correct a lot of things that I did wrong with the book. So the screenplay is actually better than the book.
I don't think you did anything wrong in the book. It's just a different layer or different version, right?
Well, we
see.
can agree to disagree on that.
Okay, and then enjoy reading and watching movies.